things. The layout that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the analysis of the deal for a single-family home. Then we're going to do a duplex. Then I'm going to show you properties that I look for in the area. Then if we have time, depending on how things are going, I'll pull up a computer spreadsheet showing you kind of what I do on a spreadsheet. And then the last thing I'll just kind of wrap up. So for this presentation, it's not just me talking at you guys. I want you to get involved. Obviously, you're going to write stuff down, but bust out your cell phones right now and pull out your calculators, okay? Because we're going to run through this together. And I apologize. This is kind of what we're dealing with, so if you can't see, I'm going to be talking out loud. You guys will be running through it on your calculators as well, but I'll be writing it right here. And then I'll go through it on the spreadsheet later. All right. So the first property that we're going to do is going to be a single-family home, okay? It's going to be $30,000. So it's a $30,000 single-family home. And the rent that's coming in for this, 3-bedroom single-family home, rent is going to be $950 a month. Okay. Now, right away, what we're going to do, let's do this. So you can see this column is going to be monthly. This column we're going to do annually. Okay, so we're bringing in rent of $950 a month. The first thing, there's only 3 steps to this. It's a piece of cake in terms of single-family homes and duplexes and analyze them. The first thing we're going to account for is vacancy, right off the top. Okay, so you're bringing in $950 in rent. You want to take vacancy off of there right away. Okay, vacancy, I'm always going to account for 1 month's rent, so $950. Okay? And annually, the rent that's coming in, somebody do the math for me on the calculator. $950 times 12. What do we got?
11,400.
There you go. We have $11,400 coming in annually, $950 in rent, okay? And what we'll do after each section is we can ask questions, we can talk a little bit more in depth. So what we're going to do right away is this vacancy comes off the top. We're going to take the $950 and subtract it from $11,400. What do we get?
10,000.
My math is poor, so that's what I'm asking you guys to do this too.
10,450.
All right. The other thing is I don't want her answering all the questions. I want you guys, the rest of you guys doing this too. Okay, so $10,450. Thank you, sir. $450. Okay. Now this is annually. We got to get this back over to monthly, so we're going to divide that by 12. I'm not.
8,700.
There you go. $870 a month. Does this make sense up to now? If you have questions, seriously, ask. Okay? This is the number we are now working with. $870.
Hey Josh.
Yes.
Sorry. Are we assuming that this house doesn't need any work? That it's
Yeah.
30,000 move-in ready?
Yep, just 30,000.
Move-in ready.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Better write that
Yep.
up there. Move
Okay.
in ready.
Move-in ready.
Right. So $870. Okay, that's where we're at.
Tom, can you explain
Yep.
your formula there? Why did you subtract 950 and?
So with the vacancy rate, this is basically kind of like the filling or the frosting on the cake. You have to take that off of the top number right away. You have to take that off of your gross income, your gross rent coming in right away. You just have to do it. You don't include it with any of your other expenses. Just take the vacancy rate right off the top, because there's going to be vacancies. You're going to have people coming in, coming, going, leaving, not paying rent, things like that. So that's the first thing you want to do with any property. The second thing, this is the number 2, is expenses, okay? And what I'll do too is, I'll write it over there. So expenses, I'm running everything at 50% expenses, okay? So I'm basically dividing that number by 2, okay? What do we get?
435.
Okay. So expenses, we're dividing by 2, we're 50% expenses. And that's going to equal
32.
432?
Is that what you? Sorry.
435?
My bad.
Perfect. No worries. All right, so we want to get 435 and find out what we're going to make, or where we're at annually. So we're going to multiply that by 12, right?
5220.
We're going to get 5220. Oh. 5220. Okay, is everybody following? It's pretty simple. Vacancy expenses. Number 3 is going to be your debt service. Okay? So the mortgage that you have on the property, unless you bought it free and clear. But, I don't know if you want to do that. So debt service. This property, let's say we have a mortgage without escrowing anything of $115. Okay? So we have a mortgage of $115, and I'm going to move over to that other board so you guys don't have to stare at my backside, and so you can see what I'm writing. So 115 times 12. What is it?
1380.
Okay. So debt service, your mortgage is going to be $115. Times that by 12 to get the annual. And where are we at? 1380. Is everybody following still?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. So, let me grab my other sheet here quick. So the cash flow now is going to be, let's see, 92, 52, 80. Here's my other sheet. So this is, where am I at here?
Cash flow.
It's because I'm moving along over different boards. All right, so this is your net operating income right here, your 435, minus your 115. Okay? What do we get?
320.
Is that right? 435 minus the 115. We're getting 320.
Yes.
Multiply 320 times 12.
3840.
What do we got? 4840?
38.
3840. This, guys, this is your cash flow on that property. You're going to make $320 a month. That's going to go into your pocket for this single family home. That's $30,000, bringing in $950 in rent. You're going to make $3840 annually on this property. You can go to Cancun, do whatever you want. You know, okay? It's a piece of cake. All right, so there's 3 steps. take vacancy off right away, take expenses off, divided by 2, or it's 50%, okay? And then you have your debt service that you're going to take off at the bottom, which is going to be your mortgage. And then that's going to give you your cash flow for the month. Seems pretty easy.
Which did you say is NOI?
So net operating income is going to be this one. But I'm going to go through that in the next step. Okay? So this is, does everybody get this? This is pretty straightforward, pretty simple, right? Okay?
Josh, what are the high points in your expense category, your 50%?
Well, here we go. So if you can remember anything from this presentation, remember these 3 key points. Okay? Vacancy, expenses, debt service. Okay? Just remember those 3 key things, and then you can learn to fill them in. What I'm going to do next now, though, is I'm going to start to fill in the expenses. This is not, analysis paralysis comes from taking way too many things, putting them all together, and hoping that something works out. If you keep this simple with these 3 things, it's going to work. And if you run it at 50% expenses, it's going to work. And you will find out if you're going to make cash flow. Okay? Yes?
In your evaluation, are you financing the whole amount?
Well, with this, it depends. You can do whatever.
It depends, but
Yeah.
in your assumptions right now.
Well, all right, so I was going to tell you, because we're going to run this same thing, and we're going to run it more in depth with the expenses. This is a single-family home that I own, okay? It's a rental of mine. I bought it for $30,000. I put down 20%, so I put down $6,000, and I have a mortgage on it for $115, okay? And there's debt service. I put 20% down. Some properties, you know, you can do it, and you put no money down. So I'm going to run through this, though, and I'm going to run through it doing everything. I'm going to do all the expenses now and show you that you still come, with single-family homes and duplexes, you still come pretty close to the same number when you're running the expenses.
So Josh, I have a question.
Yes,
Are you better off paying off the house than having a mortgage?
I wouldn't.
So do I.
Well, I mean, there are some investors who want to do that. However, think about the leverage that you have when you're buying rentals, and if you're using other people's money. I just closed on a duplex yesterday, and they paid me to buy it. I bought it for no money. I went to close. At closes, this is a sweet deal. If I could do deals like this all day long, I would. But basically, I went to close, and I had to bring a check for $308. However, they had to give me security deposits, so they gave me a check for $1,200 and so. So I walked away from close with money in my pocket. I put no money down and bought a $65,000 duplex. So it's pretty sweet. I mean, where else can you go into a store and buy something and they pay you to walk out with their product? Nowhere. And the product's going to make you money. So that's why I use debt and I use mortgages. If you want to buy and buy it free and clear, you can do that too. It works, you know. It's going to make you money if you buy it free and clear.
I think the thing with investments is you can run it however you want to run your business. Some
Right.
people don't want to carry the debt, so they don't, and others
Right.
are feel comfortable with it. So
The other thing is with this, in terms of running this cash flow, if you're buying properties like this and you're buying them in 2006 and 2007, and they're cash flowing for you, when the collapse came, you'd still be okay. The problem was people were buying properties that were not cash flowing. They're buying them based off of, this place is going to appraise out, it's going to make me another $30,000, $50,000 in 2 months. And then the market collapses. Well, guess what? Your rent does not cover your mortgage, is not covering your expenses, not covering your debt payments. You're done. They have to take the property back. So, does that make sense?
So always make sure that you are cash flowing on the properties that you're purchasing.
Right, which is why we're running this right now. How am I doing for time? by the
Or
way?
buy it
'Cause
at
I
the right
just started
price.
rolling.
That's all right. Keep rolling.
Okay. All right, so, like I said, if you remember anything from this presentation, remember those 3 things. What I'm going to do, though, now, is we're going to run through this a little bit more specific. So we're going to do the same house, $30,000 single-family house, and I want you guys doing all the all the numbers. However, now what's coming in is $975. Why is that? Because I just had a tenant move out. This is the truth. I just had a tenant move out. They lived there for 3 years. They moved out. I gutted the bathroom, cleaned it all up. I put a new tenant in, and I jacked the rent up $25 a month. Okay? And they're paying. They're good. It works out well. So we're going to run it at $975. Annually, where are we at?
11.7.
Let me do this quick. So annually, we're at 11,700. What's the first thing we're going to do?
975.
There you go. Yeah. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is vacancy. And the number I chose last time was the rent amount. However, this time we're going to run it at around like 10%. Okay? So that number is going to be 1170.
Oh. Let me take the 10% of it.
Okay? All right. So $11,700. Subtract 1170 from that. What do we get?
10,530.
There you go. Perfect. So 10,530, we're going to move back over. This is the monthly side. We're going to divide that by 12. What do we get?
877.50.
There you go. $877.50. Again, this you were asking before, right over here. This is going to be our gross operating income monthly. Okay? Gross operating income monthly. This is that number we're now going to start with. We've done our vacancy. Okay? Now we're going to work from this number. So expenses. This is where I'm afraid it's going to get a little sloppy, but you know what? Let's do the expenses over here. So number 2, can you guys all see this? Let's move this just a little bit. So these are going to be our expenses. Remember last time we divided by 2? We did 50%. Number 1, Uncle Sam wants to get paid. You got to pay taxes, okay? So number 1, we have taxes. And the taxes on this property are $19.42 a year. Divide that by 12 for me. What do we get?
161.83.
161.83. All right, let's make it 161 to keep it good. My math skills are poor. So, how do we figure out what percentage this is out of all of this? We're going to take we're going to take the total of what the taxes are, the 1942, and we're going to divide it by 10,500. What do you guys get? Somebody other than that corner. 1942 divided by $10,500. Okay, so 18, we're sitting at like 18.4%, right? That's what you're paying to Uncle Sam.
Oh.
This is good to know. Okay? Sorry I'm using 2 different boards, but all right, the next thing, you have to have property insurance. Okay? For this property, I'm paying a year $328 a year annually.
What company?
That one's with Acuity. But here's the other thing is I'm using actual cash value instead of replacement costs. So if the house burns down they're going to pay me based on what that policy is at, which I think it's actually a decent amount, maybe like $70,000 or $80,000. Okay. Replacement cost on insurance means they're going to pay me what it costs to build, and that's going to cost a lot more. But I'm still going to get good coverage in terms of liability, in terms of if something major happens. Okay. So I'm paying $328 annually for that. Divide that by 12 for me.
27.
So it's $27. So take the 328 divided by 10,530. What do we get?
3.1%.
Perfect. 3.1%. Next thing is water. With this one, you can have tenants sometimes pay, you can do 50%, but either way, let's account for it. So we have water. For this building, water they do quarterly in the city of Milwaukee. In other cities, they usually kind of do the same thing. With this one, I'm paying like $165 or so a quarter. Let's multiply that by 4 so we can get our annual number. 165 times 4?
660.
Perfect. So 660, let's divide that by 12.
55.
So we're at 55. So 660 divided by, again, $10,500. Why are we doing this? Because we want to find out what percentage of the expenses water is. So we'll just do 6%. And then after that, where are we at? So we're at 18.4, 3.1, 6%. Where are we at? Somebody add that up for me.
Should be 0.6.
Yeah.
27.
Is it 6% or 0.6?
Point.
No, it's 6.
It's
6.
It's 6. I did run these numbers before we did this. So where are we at?
27.
So 27 and a half, 27 or so.
Huh?
No, it's not 27.
No.
There's a 10% also.
We're not counting the 10.
Not
No,
yet.
no.
Okay.
We're just doing expenses. So we're
Okay,
at
gotcha.
27, right? So we need to get to 50. Find some other expenses. Property management. Let's just pretend property management, we're going to pay, well, let's do first repairs and maintenance. Say we have $1,500 for repairs and maintenance a year. Divide that by 12 for me.
125.
So we're at 125. Percentage-wise, we're going to do 125 divided by $10,500. Where are we at? 1.2.
1.2. Is that right?
No,
No.
1.4.
I think it's higher than that. 14.2. Does that sound right? No? Yeah. 14.2.
Didn't know y'all were having to do math this morning, did you?
Yeah. So the goal, and I'm basically, we can keep running through this. So say we have accounting, we have legal. Accounting, we're going to do another $400, okay? Legal, we're going to do another $400.
Was that annual? Yeah.
That's annually. So divide those, and we're going to get, what, $33 for both? And then, where are we at here? That should take us, those are both going to be like 3.8%, right? Did I do that? Hey, you guys are ahead of me. That's good. People are saying yes. So, where are we at? 3.8 plus 3.8 plus 14.2. What do we have?
21.8.
What is it?
21.8.
Okay, so we're close to about 50%. Okay? Is this making sense up to this point? I'm not trying to make it complicated. But like I said, the formula we did last time is exactly the same.
I like
with
the
single
other.
family homes and
Yeah.
duplexes,
I
okay?
like the other formula. It was easier.
Right. However, if you want, like the gentleman in the back row asked, you know, what's going to be your highest expense? What's going to be the specifics? This is how you can do it. And if you don't want to do the percentages, you don't have to. But I do the percentages, so I make sure that I get to 50%. Because if I'm not at 50%, in my view, I don't know if this property is really going to work. Okay?
But
So-
Josh, you might strike it lucky a month or two and not have any repair expenses and that, and then you got a little
Right.
bucket on the side.
Absolutely.
The-
So,
We want the bucket list.
right. So, we want everything. Everything hits the crapper and things suck. You want to be prepared for that.
Right.
Okay?
Furnace goes out.
Right. So, net operating income, I know I'm kind of jumping around, but net operating income
Could go up.
on this property, we're at, the way I ran it, we're at $443.50. How did I get that? So I took the $877.50 and I subtracted all
Monthly.
those monthly expenses. Okay? And I got $443. $443.50. Multiply that by 12 for me. 5,000. 5,322. All right? So that's the annual net operating income. What's the last thing we have to add to this or subtract from this?
Property management.
No, your mortgage.
Debt service.
Yeah.
If you want to use property manager, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
They're going to be in your expenses though.
Right.
Okay? So the last thing is your debt service. I don't escrow anything. Okay? That's in the expenses. Debt service is debt service. That's your mortgage with the bank. Again, with this one, it's $115. And just like last time, multiply that by 12, what do we get? We get $1,380. Is that right?
Yep.
I hope. Okay? And then where do we come at in terms of cash flow?
3,942.
So monthly, $443.50 minus $115. What do you got?
328.
Okay.
50.
$328.50 a month is going into my pocket. Annually, somebody said it before.
It's 3942.
3942.
42.
3942 annually. Now, I know in terms of analyzing deals, with this property, it's cash flowing great, in my view. Anybody else, what are your thoughts? Is that not enough money for you? Is that shocking? Is that... Right, 13%. Tell me where you can get 13% annually in the stock market. The other thing is, when I'm running these deals, I'm not pocketing all $328 every single month. Okay? I start to stash away a lot of that money and build up a reserve. We've accounted for repairs, we've accounted for maintenance. However, I want to make sure that I'm ready for when the crap hits the fan, and I have a backup. The other thing is, the beauty of vacancy, we took it off the top. However, I originally, when I had this property, and I still have it, put the tenant in there, they stayed there for 3 years. I didn't have any vacancy, okay? $950 with our other example, or $1,170 is going into my pocket or going into that bank account for 3 years. That starts to add up. So when I run these numbers, my father invests in real estate too, and he sees $328 a month, he goes, holy crud, that's a lot of money. Because usually when I'm running numbers on properties, I'm looking for $125,000 to to $250 a door, okay? But when you have tenants and they stay a while, the reality is on this property I probably make anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 a year, okay? If the tenants are staying and I don't have major maintenance issues and things like that. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
What do you use for your reserve percentage? Or do you
Tell you the truth, I just don't touch my money. Seriously. For at least a year or 6 months, I just let it build up. Okay? I just did a draw and pulled some money out of some of the accounts, but I let that build up over a while.
How deep do you go into CapEx?
Into what?
Into CapEx.
You want to explain what that is? Because I don't even know. Are you talking about cap rates?
Like replacing the roof,
Major
things
expense
like
like
that.
Yeah. Well, that's what your reserve is for. That's not what your 50% expenses is. If I have a furnace go, if I need to repair a roof, that's why I'm not spending any of that cash flow right away when I first get the rental. I'm letting it sit in there, letting it build up. If I have a ton of properties, I'm letting it kind of all pool and sit together. So if I have multiple furnaces go at the same time, multiple backups of sewers, I'm covered. Okay? Yes?
Are you expecting to pay any taxes on that at the end of the year? Are you accounting for depreciation?
Right, we're kind of getting into something else, but absolutely. Real estate, you get 27 and a half years of depreciation. Plus, if furnaces go out, you're paying a property manager, you're paying all these expenses, you're writing that stuff off. It is money going out of your pocket, especially if it's coming out of the reserves. I mean, you're spending that, but yeah, you're absolutely writing that off, and it's going against the income that's coming in. All right? Yes, sir.
So on your vacancy, how come you take off 1 month's rent versus 1 month of expenses? Like
Because I'm gonna make sure that I'm actually covered, and with vacancy in terms of relating it to the rent that's coming in, you're gonna have at least a month where the place is vacant. Even if you can turn around and get it filled in 1 week, 2 weeks. If you have somebody move in and move out over a span of 1 year or a year and a half, you've accounted for at least 1 month of vacancy. And I run it at 10%, so it's even a little bit more.
Because you have refresh expenses too.
Right, because you're going to have to go in there, you're probably going to have to paint the place, you're going to have to refresh it, make it look good. I'm going to keep rolling here. I'm going to wrap up somewhat soon. How are we doing for time?
You got 30 seconds.
All right. Fantastic.
You're done.
All right.
They're done.
So, you know what, I'm not going to pull up my computer because I know some of the other guys are going to too. In terms of properties that I'm looking for in South Wisconsin, primarily what I'm looking for is single-family homes, obviously in duplexes, anywhere from $1 to around $30,000. Okay? If there's expenses needed, $5,000, $6,000, whatever, it's still okay. All right? If I'm buying move-in ready and it's 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms, single-family home, I'll maybe go to $40,000 or $45,000. I looked at a house. They're asking $50,000. It was 2 bedrooms, and I don't remember the rent that was coming in. It was really low, but they were going to be raising it. But it needed a roof replaced. It had plumbing issues, and I basically came in and said, you know what, I'll buy this for $30,000. Maybe I'll come in max at $33,000. And they said, no, we need a minimum of $40,000. I walked away. That isn't going to work for me. Okay, I want to make sure that it's going to work. Duplex-wise, I'll buy anything from $1 or for free. Again, like yesterday, that one they paid me to around $65,000. Okay, if it's move-in ready, has tenants, doesn't need a ton of maintenance, it's ready to roll. But usually with duplexes, it's going to be for anywhere from like $1 to say $45,000, maybe $50,000. I just finished up a rehab. I know we're not getting into that, but I just bought a duplex. It was $40,000. I needed to put in $25,000. Okay, so where am I at? Where am I at? I'm at $65,000. I'm bringing in $775,000 in the upper 2-bedroom. I'm bringing $775,000 in the 2-bedroom on the lower. The numbers are going to work out. Okay, and I did want to run through a duplex with you guys, but you know we're running out a little bit of time. So that's what I look for. Not to kind of convolute things. I have properties that have mortgages on them I have single-family homes that have mortgages on them for $64,000. You say, Josh, what the heck is that? You just told me you buy houses for $1 to $30,000, $35,000. Why is that? Because I bought the house for $3,500. At close, I ended up paying $1,900. I put $34,000 into it, fixing it up, and that's what they're going to hit on like next week with flips and doing rehabs and stuff. And it appraised out at $87,900. And they allowed me to pull out $64,000 worth of cash. Well, I'm bringing in $1,100 in rent in that it's a 3.5 bedroom single family house. And it still cash flows though at $64,000. And then they just gave me $64,000 cash to work with, to go buy my next deals, to lend to other investors, and that property though still works. So when I'm buying the properties, I'm always thinking single family homes $1 to 30, 35,000. Duplexes, I'm always thinking $1 to 60, 65,000. And then that's the core of where I'm starting. But the reality is, if it still works after I've done a few fix-ups on it or whatever, or appraises out, and I can pull money out of it, and it still cash flows with 50% expenses and all these things going on, and the crap hitting the fan, then I will sometimes do that. Okay? You guys have any questions? Yes.
Did you how do you figure out market rents? I think so you know as well as I do, sometimes you can get emotionally attached to these deals, right? And sometimes you can talk yourself into these numbers,
right,
just to get the deal, right? Because you just want that first deal so bad.
Absolutely.
So how do you figure out market rents?
Right.
So you're not
yeah, making it work.
Yeah,
Here's the reality: you don't have to do 50% expenses if you don't want to, guys. But then you're the one that's taking the risk that maybe this deal won't work, and you're forcing it to work. Okay. I have 4 things I wanted to hit on here. I pretty much hit 2 of them. But the last one here says trust your gut. Trust your gut with the numbers being used. Okay? If you're running these numbers and everything is working, but at the same time you kind of have this uneasy feeling, or you run the numbers at 50%, you know what? It's tight, but you want to make it work, don't do it. And in terms of coming back to your question, you asked about market rents. The way I do it is I basically find out what's going on in the neighborhood in terms of going on Zillow, calling for rent signs, finding out what other landlords are asking for. And the other thing is I'm always, my rentals are pretty nice, I think. So I'm always trying to push the envelope to push it up. Because if I'm pushing it up and other people see it pushing up, rents are going to continue to go up, and then we can continue to push the neighborhoods up. Neighbors are going to appreciate, things are going to be good, we're going to all make more money. And the tenants are going to want to stay. Because then you have nice buildings, nice units in the neighborhood. So in terms of rents, I'm basically looking at what else is kind of going on in the neighborhood. But I'm not looking at the places that are dumps, or the places where I know people are paying like 50% of what I'm asking for. I don't know if that really answered your question.
No, I mean rental meter is a good reference.
Right.
They'll give you a general idea, so you can just average it out. But
a 3-bedroom single-family home, I'm getting a minimum in Milwaukee. And the other thing is, I'm not buying in war zones, guys. Most of my properties are on the edge of Wauwatosa, West Dallas, nice areas, but they are all in Milwaukee. But they're not in really rough areas. I have some that are a block, 2 blocks from Wauwatosa. So if I'm doing a duplex and it's 3 bedrooms or a 2-bedroom duplex, I'm getting a minimum of $750. If it's a single-family home and it's 3 bedrooms, I'm getting a minimum of $950, $975, and for some of them, I'm getting $1,000 to $1,100. All right? I think I need to cut it, because I've been talking too long.